Hello everyone, my name is Shashank Shekhar Singh and I am here to analyze and discuss the essay paper of UPSC Mains Examination 2023. Now here we will take up all the questions or topics that has been asked in section A and section B of the Mains Examination 2023. So before moving on to the main discussion, let us quickly have a look at the nature of paper this time. Now, contrary to all the anticipation and anxiety, this year paper was relatively manageable. I have used the term manageable because essay writing is a kind of challenge. Challenge in terms of understanding the topic. And on that count, this paper was easy. Because they have not used any complex quote or terms in their quotes, like materialism is a chimera in previous year exam, where the term chimera was a challenge for many of the students. Or they have not used any quote like your perception of me is reflection of you, the long statements which are complex to understand, and even if one is able to understand, it was difficult to find appropriate content. So on those count, this paper was relatively manageable. Having said that, this year also there was one topic, that is sixth topic of section B, that is mathematics is the music of reason, was bit difficult in relation to or when compared to other topics. Difficult in sense that it was not difficult to understand. Meaning is quite simple. Mathematics is the music of reason. There is no complexity in the understanding. The challenge part is finding appropriate content. We will address this essay in later part of the discussion, but considering the pressure of examination environment, yes, this was a challenging topic. And in 5-6 minutes of brainstorming, if anyone feels difficulty in finding content and argument, my personal advice is to leave such topics. Okay, so let's begin our discussion by taking up the topics one by one. And in this series, we will be taking up the first topic, that is, thinking is like a game. It does not begin unless there is an opposite team. So here, we will be taking up this discussion in 3 parts, similar to what we do in our classes. We will first identify the key terms, and then we will try to dissect the topic for a better understanding or broadening the understanding. Then we will discuss the arguments. And here I want to tell you that there is a very, I would say, a big confusion in the mind of students that what is argument and what is example. Now they often use example as an argument. No, this is I would say an incorrect approach, because essay is all about analysis. Essay is all about your viewpoint about the topic. It is not about enlisting the example. It is about what you have understood. What is the point that you want to put forward while quoting those examples? So in this discussion, we will be looking into the arguments that can be put forward for the topics and the examples that can be used for the substantiation of those substantiation of those argument. So let's begin. So the first thing is identification of the keywords. Okay. Thinking, game, and opposite team. Now thinking is what? Thinking is a cognitive exercise or a process. And what we do in our thinking process? We analyze. We analyze what? We analyze information. We analyze situation. We analyze any event. One can analyze as many things as one likes, but for our understanding, thinking is a cognitive process which includes analysis of information, situation, or an event. And then by doing this, we reach out to a conclusion or end result or a goal. Conclusion, end result, goal, outcome, anything like that. This is what thinking is all about. What is a game? A simple term. Again, if we will talk in crude terms, it is more of arranging your preparation, doing the preparation as per the requirement of the competition or the situation, and there would be two opposite parties which will put their preparation in front of each other with an aim of achieving a goal of winning or a result. A better word would be a result. One team will be on the losing side, other one will be on the winning side. So ultimately, what you are doing, you are practicing, you are strategizing, you are preparing a plan as per the requirement of the game or event. Now another team is doing the same thing. It can be an entity, a team, a group team, or a single individual. Okay, and you both are competing against each other to find a goal that is a result of winning or losing. Anything, result can be anything for anyone. So simple thinking is analysis, is a game. Okay, now the third term is opposite team. Now opposite team here, now all these words are used here metaphorically. So try to broaden your horizon as much as you can. Now opposite team here can be taken as an entity, okay, or a thought, an opposite thought that challenges you, okay, or a viewpoint that challenges the established notion. It can be anything. An event, okay, opposite team can be an event that poses a threat to your evolution and existence or your present state of affairs, anything like that. So opposite team can be any of it. Okay, now let us understand this through an example. Now if you are aware of sorry, now if you are aware of a book named Silent Spring, written in 1962. A female author or scientist, Rachel Carson was her name. She was into the impact of DDT on the environment. She studied and finally she authored her paper which got published in 1962. Name of the book was Silent Spring. Now, this book is considered as a stellar example of creative work which pushed the entire American society to think about something and brought social change. For the first time, because there were debates about human intervention and its consequences, it was there. But first documented record, that was Silent Spring, which highlighted the use of DDT, its implications on the food chain, the magnification thing, and overall impact on environment, motivated entire American society, including scientific community, to think about the subject of environmental pollution through DDT. So the opposite thought, the challenging thought that came was through the book Silent Spring, and which motivated or instigated the entire community to start thinking or delving upon the question of human intervention in the environment. Same was the case with Club of Rome. And question has been asked in your prelims examination on basis of Club of Rome. Now, their paper, Limits to Growth, which came in 1972, which came in the year 1972, first time brought in light the idea of economy and depletion of resources. Now it became the bedrock of the debate of environment conservation. The resource depletion, the resource conservation. All these topics became mainstream thought after publishing of these journals. So what happened here? There came a thought as an opposing team, a viewpoint as an opposing team, which instigated a thinking process in entire society. So I used to suggest the students that either you can explain your understanding of the topic by explaining the key term, or you can use such examples as an anecdote to start your essay. Okay, so let's move on to the main part of the body. Now, as we have understood that thinking is like a game, so the first obvious dimension is to establish this part. Why thinking is a game? Because similar to the game, in thinking process, what we are doing, we are analyzing and we are strategizing to achieve a goal. Now, if you have explained the key terms in introduction itself, then you can directly, if you have not explained the key terms in the introduction and rather have used the anecdote for the introduction, what you can do, you can briefly explain the key term, then you can establish this relationship that thinking is a game. Now comes the main part of the essay, that the significance of opposition in motivating, instigating, or starting the thinking or the beginning of the thinking process. So just think about it. Whenever you are facing any challenge, opposition is a challenge. Okay, an opposite viewpoint is a challenge to your notion, to your belief, or to your established status or anything like that. So first thing that you will do is to try and finding solution. Okay. And in search of solution, the first thing that one will do is thinking. So opposition demands or creates a situation where to come out of that opposite or the challenging situation, one would try to find a solution or a way out. And in that process, everything starts with thinking. Now, for this argument, you can quote the COVID-19 and the vaccine development. What happened here? Earlier to COVID-19, vaccine development usually took around 4 to 5 years for development and trial and approval of vaccine. But COVID came as an unprecedented event. Now, this was a challenge. This was an opposition for the entire humanity, which demanded a solution. And they came up with a early development of vaccine. And for this, by quoting this example, you can substantiate your argument that whenever one faces challenge as from an opposite team, one would strive to find a solution, and that will instigate the thinking. Okay. Now this is something, this part is something that you faced a challenge and you now want to find a solution. But there is another case. Another case of what? Sometimes challenge may not come to you directly. Challenge is there for any prevailing social question or economic issue or environmental issue. But it will motivate you to find a solution. And again, in finding the solution, you will start thinking process. So it acts as a motivation for finding solution. Now, if you can recall your GS knowledge, what happened when came seafloor spreading concept? Now, it started a process. Okay, everyone appreciated the concept itself. But it failed to explain the forces behind the spreading of seafloor. So it motivated, now this event motivated the demerits of this theory, motivated the scientists to find a solution, and they came up with plate tectonic. But don't you think a challenge instigated a thinking process in other entities also? Now, thirdly, sometimes what happens, these opposition challenge your own belief, a long-standing belief on anything, something. Now, when challenge comes, it creates a dissonance, a cognitive dissonance. What happened with Arjun in Kurukshetra? His belief was different. But now, what is being told by Krishna? That your dharma is different from your belief. That created a cognitive dissonance in Arjun. Now again a thinking process starts, because you want to find a solution, a way out to end this. So you can quote Arjun to substantiate your argument. Now here in this case, your belief was challenged and person is shaken. Another instance where you want to justify your standing or belief or understanding. Then also, in order to justify your belief or your argument or your understanding, You need a reason. You need an explanation. And for reason and explanation, you need a thinking process. Can you relate it to the parliamentary debates where government puts any bill or bill to the parliament and debate starts with the opposing ideas or the opposing thoughts of other parties? Now, in order to address all those issues, the entire governance system gets into thinking process. It starts a thinking process, isn't it? Further, if another example I can quote, in courts also, two parties are there, they are putting their viewpoint, their standing for the justification. They are acting as an opposite team, as opposite teams, but thinking process is involved. Okay, another way through which opposition starts or motivate or instigate the thinking process is sometimes any event or thought or viewpoint kind of motivates or creates situation where one starts introspecting about their present position or status and strategize their future course of action accordingly. So again, opposition started a thinking process. What we saw in India's strategy regarding China after Indo-China War, it started an introspection process at national level, that what we considered Himalaya as a natural barrier, this thought process, that proved to be a strategic blunder. What we considered China as an ally, it came out as a shock. So we introspected and we came out with a different roadmap vis-a-vis China. So by putting all these arguments and substantiating them with these examples, you can cover the main body of the essay. Okay. Now, one question that one must ask is whether all kind of thinking requires an opposition. Answer is no. Opposition is required in most of the cases or a prerequisite for the most of the cases, but not all the cases. Consider about imaginative thinking. What kind of opposition you will need in daydreaming? No opposition is required. Leave that aside. Imaginative and creative thinking do not require any kind of opposition. You can see this, you can see the manifestation of this in artistic expression, like paintings, books, music, lyrics. There is internal motivation. There is a desire just to express what one feels. Don't you think that there was no opposition to Kalidas when he wrote Meghdut? Or when Jaydev wrote Geet Govinda? There was no opposition at all. It was their internal motivation. It was their artistic expression. Moving further, if you can refer to the Starry Night, the famous painting of Van Gogh, or the Mona Lisa of Leonardo da Vinci, these are just artistic expression of an individual. They had no opposition while creating these masterpieces. So a brief discussion upon this antithesis, that yes, often it is true, in general it is true that thinking process is like a game. It will begin with an opposite idea, event, thought, anything like that. But there is a flip side also, that not all kind of thinking would require an opposition. And then summarize your essay on this line only, that yes, it is true, but not always. Thank you.